1985 was a special year for Toyota. They introduced the 22RE, a fuel-injected variant of the 22R, and it was the very last year Toyota pickups and 4Runners were available with a solid front axle in North America. This is my brother's 1985 Toyota pickup. He got extremely lucky and managed to trade a 22 rifle for the complete truck. Now it was cheap, but it certainly had some problems. First off, it was not running. It was missing a gas tank, it had rotten brake lines, it had a rotten box, had rotten fenders, and worst of all, it had the Achilles heel of these trucks: frame rot. Before we took it home, we wanted to make sure it was a running motor. So we hooked up the jumper cables and sprayed some brake clean right down the intake, and she roared to life. We were sold. Once the truck arrived at my house, we got straight to work. We replaced the rotten brake lines, swapped over the fuel tank from my parts truck, turned the key, and she roared to life. This is where the build starts. After replacing the rotten brake lines, it still didn't stop very well.
So, we got all new pads and brake shoes and wheel cylinders that are going in it now. So, the deck on the 85 was pretty dang rotten. So, Boy went and picked up this complete 88 with the nice flat deck to throw in there.
Another bonus, this parts truck came with brand new fenders on the front. Now doesn't this thing look so much better with the flat deck?
Boy actually acquired a welded diff for his 85 so that he could finally keep up with us a little bit with our lockers. So yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna pull the drums apart, pull the third out, and swap in the new welded diff. Also, the parts truck you recently picked up has a one-piece drive shaft, so it's gonna get swapped in at the same time.
And of course, Boy jumped in the first puddle he could find to test out his new locker.
I'm not making it through there. I could, but I'm taking water.
As you can see, we swapped over the nice fenders from the parts truck and gave the whole truck a paint job with some rubberized undercoat. Next up, see how it does on the trails.
It's another day and we are back working on the 85. Now, we're taking more parts from the parts truck now. We're taking the rear leaf springs and putting them in the front of this thing. Now, what you missed is Boy actually put blocks in the rear of this. As you can see, that booty is a lot higher. So, yeah, rear's up front to accommodate that. And yeah, we'll see what that entails. if you're wondering why use rears up front, well, they're cheap. Obviously, he already had these sitting around there in his parts truck. And not only that, they're longer, which would give you more flex and articulation, and they're going to lift it. If you look at them, they're a lot more arched than his factory ones are. In fact, the ones that are factory that are in his truck right now are actually inverted and arcing the wrong way. So in theory, this should give him a 3, if not 4-inch lift, just because they're a lot healthier. All right, and for the second half of this job, we came to my dad's shop here because he's got a hoist. It'll be a whole lot easier to drop the front axle and put the new leaf springs in using the hoist, obviously. So yeah, let's go inside.
And now that the new leafs are installed, time to put the axle back and see how she looks.
And it is back on its wheels. This thing looks so awesome. So I'd say it got us about 3 inches of lift or so using the rears up front. Also, that pushed the axle forward a bit. So we got to get a custom drag link on the steering to connect everything and get it going again. Also, if you do rears up front, you need to extend your drive shaft. It engages, but by like 1 inch, which is not adequate. As soon as you flex or hit a bump, it's just going to fall out. Now, because this truck is lifted, the shocks that were with it are obviously, they're way too short. So he jumped to Rock Auto, got some cheap Ranchos that are made for one of these trucks with a lift kit. And yeah, those are going in now. So we did actually find some extended shocks for the rear of this thing, but seeing how they're cheap on Rock Auto, there's new Ranchos for the rear too, and you can see this looks so much better. And it's done for now. There's a couple more things coming up for this truck, but this is all the parts we got right now, and yeah. And yeah, that's about it for this build episode. As you can see, this thing has come along so far from this rotten piece of junk that's only worth a few $100 to something that's actually got a really clean cab, a nice flat deck, brand new fenders, and like, it looks awesome. Not only that, it's lifted now, which is fantastic. It's got a rear locker. And yeah, there's actually a lot more to come on this truck. So something I forgot to talk about is the tranny in this thing. It's dead. I mean, it works, it limps it by, 4th gear doesn't really work very well at all. It makes all sorts of weird noises, but that parts truck is gonna donate its trans to that truck. So that was another reason why he got the parts truck as a whole. Also, he's getting some bigger tires. As you can see in this video, we put bigger tires on it. It's got 33s, but they're not big enough. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. And remember, if you like this stuff, please remember to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.